Hello everyone, and welcome to game number 2 in our best of 3 series between Blackmagic and SorenJohnson. Soren taking game number 1 quite effectively, just a nice little off-world push. Blackmagic couldn't quite grab up that last 5th stock that he needed in order to push the game onward, and so Soren just cleaning things up fairly quickly after moving into a strong off-world market. Some interesting mutiny bouncing and power plays that actually had a pretty significant role in that game, which was unusual. Definitely a bit of a different situation than we've seen before. This map looks awful. Man, if there was ever a map I was glad to not be playing on, this is way up there. There's 1 high iron, 2 medium irons. None of those have adjacency bonuses. 2 high carbons and 2 medium carbons. One of the medium carbons has adjacency bonuses. I might honestly be looking at this spot, this game. This is horrifying. I don't want to... Oh, man. There's also... I want to point out, there are no pirates, there are magnetic storms this game, but this spot for a scientist could potentially work really, really well. You've got the water, you've got the silicon, you've got the iron. Aluminum is available on the map. It's a little far away, but... you just have to be careful and play around the magnetic storms and you'd be okay. Soren did identify the scientific location. He is going for it. Wants to make that happen. Looks like he is going to manage to secure all 3 of those low iron tiles for steel production and move forward this game. Well, no question that we're going to have something different going on this time. Blackmagic just founding in the middle of nowhere. Basically being like, well, the map is awful, so I need to make sure I have good access to the entire thing. I'm sure he's not going to be really happy with that location, but almost no location was going to make anybody happy this game. And we are going to see out of him this game 2 iron mines come down and then 1 steel mill. Now, both players have secured all the aluminum they need to upgrade to headquarter level 2. No funny shenanigans going to be going on there. We will just be looking for Soren to kind of launch these steel once they're each at 20, hopefully. Be able to get to that expansion. That is what we're going to see out of him. That'll allow him to at least make the claims that he's going to want to, even if he can't place the buildings just yet.
Why? Your new design for the
and so hopefully he's willing to do that soon. Hopefully he knows exactly where he wants these claims to go, even if he doesn't necessarily have all the cash on hand in order to make that happen. He did go ahead and secure the high water. He is securing a high aluminum, not a bad idea. 1 claim left. You better just throw that down, Soren. There's got to be somewhere for that thing to go.
5,000.
All right.
6,000. 7,000.
What are we going to do with the claim auction, guys? What are we going to do? 8,000 for Blackmagic. Guys, just drive the claim auction up. You can do it. Like, just pull a cubit. Just get that auction to 10,000 and then go from there. It's not that complicated. Alright, 18,000. That's a bit more reasonable. Is it going to go up to 32 like it did last game? Once again, last game, Blackmagic taking on a lot of debt early on. And is he going to be willing to do it again? Soren seems to think he might be. And Soren's going to push it up to 28. He does go ahead and... nope, not going to get the claim. Blackmagic once again wants it for $32,000. It's a lot of debt, but he's still in that A rating, and it is a whole extra claim. Whoa, he wants this silicon. Soren spots it out, not going to let him have it. Says, get on out of here, that's my territory. So it was kind of nice for Soren that he held that claim back. Of course, now he's set himself up in a bit of an awkward situation where... what is he going to do with this tile? He could just drop a reactor or a farm there. It is going to be a reactor. Nice little solo buildings spread out here for Soren. He will need to clean that up on HQ level 3, although he does have access to, if he wants. He could go ahead and pick up a new claim, kind of connect these things up, make everything a little bit less awkward. It is available to him. Alright, Blackmagic has secured a little bit of aluminum. He's sitting on 4 more claims after grabbing the water. Likely just going to go into a bunch of steel, right? It's exactly what we expect to see out of an expansive player, is a lot of steel play. He does spread them out, trying to make sure that power surges can't completely shut him down. We did talk about the magnetic storms, and we've discussed claims just a little bit this game, which Soren did go ahead and pick one up, hasn't used it yet. Let's look at everything else we've got. Cook the Books is going to be available, which is very, very nice in case some player gets into serious debt trouble. EMPs and power surges, once again, Soren sure to be glad to see those. Network viruses, mutinies, and goon squads are going to round out everything. Network virus, potentially very punishing in a 1v1, also kind of a great way to break through goon squads that are on Offworlds, especially for a scientific player who is very unlikely to get punished by the network virus. And of course, mutiny is obviously a great way to utilize an opponent's Offworld or geotherm or other, you know, single powerful tiles. So we've got a decent black market setup here. I think the black market does probably favor Soren long term and his scientific colony rather than Blackmagic. And I'm just picturing a world where Blackmagic founded right in this crater and was just like, fine, let's go. What do you want to do about it? Like, just drop robotic in there, even. Something, I don't even care. Just something small that you can really use in the crater and go with it. It could have been hilarious. Alright. Blackmagic has not moved to HQ level 3 just yet. Soren has. He is going to be connecting up all his tiles. He's got some decent adjacency going on now. He is moving into glass furnaces, 2 of them, for the time being, to go, excuse me, with his reactors. And nanotech comes up. Now that's interesting. That is a very valuable patent to pick up off an auction in a 1v1. There are frequently situations where if you just cancel an off-world launch and scrap the off-world market itself, you can easily push to buying out your opponent. Instead of sitting at that 90 to 95%, you just make it happen right then and there. Don't allow them any opportunity to come back into the game. Now, during all this, Soren has mutinied away Blackmagic's aluminum. Looks like Blackmagic will be picking up that auction for about $20,000. He is already $80,000 in debt, starting to push there. It's very, very good that he found it as late as he did at this point to make sure that he could pick up these auctions. But still, already at that 12% interest rate, there is a geotherm on the map that he can utilize for power. Looks like 2 of them, in fact. So he'll probably be okay. But he is going to have to be very careful and hope that another crucial auction does not come up in the market. Soren has used all his claims. That last one heading on over to a geothermal vent. Gonna get some power production up on top of that. Sounds reasonable to me. I mean, power's already up at 172, although this geotherm will not cover Soren's power costs, as he does have so many reactors and steel mills down already. That is the downside of going for fast reactors as a scientist even. They just cost so much more power than farms do these days. Farm, a very, very powerful tool for a scientist, even if it is a little bit harder to push into initially. Blackmagic himself is also moving into farms. Can't quite afford that 3rd one yet to round out the triangle. Is struggling a little bit with his steel production. Only has about 3.5 iron coming in a second, and was forced to secure, it looks like, another aluminum mine. I don't know if that's something he really wanted to commit to long term, but it could work out okay. I mean, there is dry ice on those tiles. Dry ice a little bit better, or significantly better than regular ice, honestly. So it's not really that bad a situation for Blackmagic. And finally, we're going to have some aggression out of Blackmagic. He is going to throw down a power surge onto Soren. Soren, of course, being a scientist, this is not going to hurt him too badly. Everything is frozen, yes, but I mean, it's just kind of, it's an annoyance, a mild frustration. It is not a shutdown in the same way that it would be on an expansive or robotic or even a scavenger player. Blackmagic only just now getting that 3rd farm down, where Soren has already pushed to headquarter level 4. He's got a nice diamond of farms going, in fact, right now that he's throwing on up. That is going to force some interesting transitions later, potentially, as this food price, oh, there we go, nice freeze on the food is going to help Soren maintain his food price, get the good profits out of those before Blackmagic is able to. That's a very nice move. But still, this is a lot of food hitting the market, and one has to wonder how long it's going to be able to sustain that hit.
6,000.
Alright. Another claim auction coming up. I'm almost sure this one's going to go to Soren fairly cheaply, honestly. Like, Blackmagic cannot afford too much debt here. I want to see Soren drive this one until Blackmagic gives up on it, or maybe just leave him. If Blackmagic is willing to hit that 28,000 again, that could be fantastic. Soren letting it go for 14. I have to think that's actually a mistake. I think that's like straight up probably a mistake. 14,000 is not a lot of cash. So we're just going to have to see how that pans out long term. It's not a lot of debt. Soren also making a very unconventional move. Look at this. He's in 4 glass furnaces and a patent office. This is a very weird game right now. I am not sure about this particular move from Soren. This is a lot of glass down. It is going to quite probably end up having to help Soren's opponent upgrade if Soren wants to actually get a lot of benefit out of this glass. And that's definitely not something you want to do when you've got that upgrade lead in particular. You do not want to allow your opponent a chance to hop back into it. Soren grabbing a goon squad to protect himself. That's an interesting location for it. Not where I would have put it, but it is understandable. Dust storms are also causing both of these players issues. Well, Soren more so than his opponent, considering that Soren's the one with actual farms down at the moment. But man, a dust storm is not really what you want to see when you're trying to rely on farms for making money. Glass already down at $99. This is only sustainable for a scientist in any way. If he was having to pay this silicon price, these things would be so worthless so fast. And what is Soren elected to go after? He wants slant drilling. That is not something that I really expected. Slant drilling immediately. That is interesting. I mean, I was thinking maybe cold fusion, maybe thinking machines if Offworlds are looking particularly nice here, which once again we have food at 625, electronics 281, glass is at 373, and there's really not much else to talk about there. Oh man, water is at 344. That is worth paying attention to. I mean 344 is a pretty high water price, and you always have to check water just because it's so cheap on World. Not always, but it is frequently very, very cheap. Very easy to utilize. And what do we have here? Soren trying to take advantage of his slant drilling that he did just finish picking up in order to supply the carbon necessary for these electronics factories. They're still costing him silicon and aluminum, so he does need to watch out for that just a little bit. Maybe would have rather seen, honestly, carbon scrubbing. Utilize the tiles that he already has, as he should know he's going to need to get out of glass furnaces. I don't know if I really like this slant drilling play, but we are going to have to see if it works out. Obviously, some of these tiles have water on them, so those could easily be utilized for other things as well. A circuit overload could be pretty nice when power is this expensive and your opponent is already in a C level of debt. Would almost love to see a circuit overload on these steel mills. Can you imagine that? Soren is going to pick that up. Is he going to use it now, or does he want to save it for something like hitting an Offworld with? It looks like he's tempted to save it. Soren also heading into perpetual motion. Once again, not a decision that I like. I think that if you're going to do something like this, you can get creative with it, especially as a scientist. You go into cold fusion. That just significantly cuts down on your power costs. It raises that water price to make that situation very awkward for your opponent. And you're paying almost nothing for power anyway. You're paying significantly less than with perpetual motion, potentially. And it's just kind of... Oh, was it in fact Blackmagic who picked it up? It was Blackmagic who picked it up. I'm sorry, guys. I'm losing it over here. I can't see things. Well, perpetual motion going to go reasonably well with that. I mean, come on. So Soren is now equal on power, spending nothing, making nothing, even with that circuit overload on it. So he's in a pretty decent spot. He is moving into solar panels. That will push him over the edge and allow him to start knocking debt down. But I don't like these plays. Notice that during all of this, Soren has been sitting on HQ level 5, and he has not successfully made an end-game move yet. He has not made any kind of move that indicates to me he is looking to finish the game, and I don't like that at all. Black Tacticus has managed to move into HQ level 5 himself. He is back in a B bond rating. That's very, very nice for him that he is not so pressured on debt anymore purely because of his upgrades. Now, he's still not in a great spot. 241,000 debt after that interest is going to knock him back down to C. But he has managed to recover quite nicely, and I feel like it's just because Soren has let these openings happen. Also, it looks like mutinying away. Some power is what Blackmagic is going to do. Now, I will say this. Soren is making so much power with this superconductor play. and perpetual motion, that he is paying off his debt quite rapidly, and maybe he will manage to actually make some money off of this. And that could be very, very nice for him and allow him to actually, finally, finish up the game. And that would be very interesting to see. It is fortunate for him that his opponent didn't throw down too much more power, as with this level of power being fed into the market, 6 excess power, usually that price is dropping just a bit faster than it has been this whole time. You can see he's already down to making 1,000 a second rather than the close to 2,000 I believe he was at earlier. At least like 1.5. And Cold Fusion pops up. Like, this is actually happening right here and now. Ridiculous. Soren's going to take that for 9,000. I like it. By taking that on, he's actually increased the amount of money he's going to be making from power, basically, and kind of reduced the amount of debt he's having to take on. It's just a solid play all around. The game finally deciding, look, here's the patent. It's all nice and shiny. It's pretty good. You might want it. Here you go. And so that is what happened with Soren there. Now, during all this, Blackmagic has gotten Offworld building. Soren has one too. They're pretty close, it looks like. 35 there. 35. Yeah, Blackmagic's is actually a second or two ahead of Soren's at this point. Now, Soren does have a ridiculous number of patents, no debt, and will be making money off of power very, very soon. So that's nice for him. He's set up in a pretty decent spot. Did you actually buy a Cook the Books, Soren? I think Soren might have bought a Cook the Books. Maybe both players did. Guys, that's hard to keep track of because there's no real good indication, except for the fact that that price has moved up to 5,000, which is kind of a good indication that both players have bought one. Both players have also bought a new claim this game. Power surges are the primary tool both players have been choosing to try and utilize. Soren is going to be the first one to get aggressive against his opponent, bouncing a power surge off that off-world market. A network virus is what Blackmagic chose to go with and throw at Soren to try and break through that goon squad. Now here we can see debt playing its huge role. Soren has literally double the stock price of his opponent. He is making a stupid amount of money on power, not near as much as he used to be. Still 500 a second though is not bad. 150 per tile is definitely the kind of thing you can look for. Kind of ridiculous he managed to pay down all that debt he had. But Blackmagic, his stock price is so low that he still managed to secure stock for himself, of himself. And so Soren still, he's not going to get the easy majority buyout that he got last game. This one will go on a while longer. Blackmagic just now getting a launch off. Soren also launching. Both players, I imagine, shipping food right now is what we're going to see. All right, there's the launch for Soren. And I have no idea how the rest of this game is going to play out. Soren is in an advantageous position, clearly, right? He's got a very high stock price compared to his opponent. He is set up with a large number of patents. He is, in fact, picking up financial instruments to punish Blackmagic further for his debt. That is potentially a lot of money available to Soren through financial instruments. I mean, 25% of 10%, sorry, 1/4 of 10%, or yeah, 25% of 10% of Blackmagic's debt is still going to be a fair amount of cash. Alright, Soren heading back into glass. I like that. Silicon not really worth anything. Could be a good move. These electronics factories, they are making a fair amount of money still. The shortage certainly not going to hurt, and of course we can see that Soren is kind of trying to help hold that iron price up. And he has network virus, of course, used that network virus that got bounced against him on Blackmagic's steel mills, and that is proving to be quite painful right now. Negative 133 and 134 a second from those steel mills right now. That is not something you want to be doing with your money when you are in Blackmagic's position. So that's a very nice play out of Soren. Soren, I wouldn't be too surprised if he buys up one more of his own stock, just being like, all right, I'm just going to get that one little bit that makes sure nothing too crazy can happen to kill me off this game. Whereas Blackmagic, he's gone into a hacker ray. He's moving into another Offworld. He is trying his hardest to keep pushing this game forward, and he's gone for a mutiny onto Soren's Offworld. Soren's still in that dominating position, but I'm nervous. I'm nervous for him, and it wasn't a position I expected to be in this game, honestly. That virus is kind of fading away. Blackmagic going to be scrapping those as he can in order to ensure that the virus doesn't keep punishing him. Obviously quite a lot to do on this map as he's being distracted by other things occasionally, but still potentially going to be good for him that this virus is wearing off. He's got that Offworld market building. Soren's going to have access to the black market in just a second. Let's see what he chooses to pick up here. It is going to be, in fact, a goon squad. Likely going to be available for his... Oh, yep, using it for the Offworld market. Soren has scrapped out of the patents. He did pick up thinking machines before he managed to do that, which is why this mutiny wasn't overly punishing for him. But you can see Blackmagic, he's fighting back. He's trying to get that stock. Soren was forced to secure a couple more of his own stock in order to safely stay in this game. Blackmagic is just going to sell out of a little bit of that. Apparently he needs the cash on hand right now. I don't know what caused that in particular. I'm not sure why Blackmagic felt he needed that money right away, but oh man, this debt. I think this debt's going to be a killer, guys. I think it's just his 387 debt that's really making the difference this game at this point. Like, Blackmagic's stock price is just so cheap. He managed to push into the Offworlds more effectively than Soren. He's got that hacker array going, which can cause an interesting situation. He's working on a water shortage right now, of all things, which is kind of interesting, but he's got like these chem labs burning money. 3 tiles unused right now. Not enough farms down, maybe, because farms are just so good. Might even need to start launching something besides food here. I'm pretty sure water is getting close to food in being able to be launched. Things are just looking really, really awkward this game. Soren moving into more food himself. It's a pretty decent EMP that's going to land, freezing out some of these farms that that Blackmagic is trying to put up. Blackmagic, this is your fault for changing your name. For this particular one, the EMP is going to land. It freezes the Offworld. It freezes the farms. It would be freezing the dry ice condensers were it not nighttime, and it's doing Blackmagic a bit of a favor, making sure his chem labs don't burn too much money away from him. Reactors are also looking pretty nice to have down right now. Soren moving into an engineering lab again. I hate this. I actually hate this. But whatever, it's fine. He can do what he wants. It's his game. Really, it's his game. Anyways, Soren, where is your cash? He's only got 120,000. He only needs 199 to clean this one up. Blackmagic has pushed halfway to killing Soren. I just want to point that out. That's how much money Blackmagic has right now. It's almost 300,000. Whereas Soren's back on only 130. He's really struggling to actually pull in cash right now for whatever reason. But I still think he's going to be the one to clean it up. As his opponent is just so cheap, that red button is going to appear. And that's going to be the game. On over to Soren. 2-0 for that series. Ugh. That was a weird one, guys. That was a weird game. So, Patent Lab coming down. We have not seen much use out of the Patent Lab across the course of this tournament. That may be the first one. I'm not sure I can remember another one. Oh man, what an interesting game. The superconductor play did pan out for Soren. Combined with perpetual motion, it did manage to make him a fair amount of money on power, and that did accelerate him kind of through parts of that game. But I feel like if Blackmagic had just thrown down, like managed to find 3 solar panels in there somewhere during that period, I think we might have seen a very different end to this game. The engineering lab, I do want to point out, let's check how much tech Soren had. Yeah, okay, Soren's calling. I suppose we can take a look at that.
Was there a chance of playing that second game off?
No,
Once you got those off-road markets up.
I had dead tiles the entire game. I had
there's a lot of time.
Nothing like how I play. It was awful. That's just a nightmare.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, I was just telling. We were just talking about how Blackmagic had, for a long time. I had like there was one time I had power surges, and I looked at all your tiles, and like none of them were making money.
Yep.
So I was just like, well, okay, I guess that's great. I'll just I'll just wait.
And that always works. That's what the network virus is there for anyway.
Yeah, oh, I had a lot of fun with the network virus.
Oh, I saw. Like, there was a network virus on steel. I think iron was at like 150 to 180.
Yeah.
Steel was at $1. It was
Yeah, how high did iron get to? I mean, I wasn't even making any iron. I should have switched over to making iron, but yeah, that was fun.
You got so lucky that Blackmagic did not just kill you right at the start of this game.
You mean stomping on my iron?
Yeah.
I didn't think he would be able to react fast enough.
Maybe. That would have been...
No, I didn't. I actually didn't even think about going scientific for this one at all. So, oh yeah, I'll come right.
So big right here, you better. I thought that was an amazing science location with the caveat of if someone grabbed those irons, you'd be totally hosed.
Yeah, pretty much.
But I feel like no one's been looking at scientific this whole tournament, so I just thought it would work out great, and like it did work out great. And the patent lab was awesome.
Yeah, I was curious if somebody was going to spot the science spot, because that was really the only place besides like a scavenger location on the map. So
yeah,
it was nice that you saw it, but then I was like, oh man, is he going to get punished?
Because I really wanted to be next to those water and silicon. That was obviously the best place to be, but oh boy.
Yeah, and the patent lab worked out. I was wondering what was going to happen if Blackmagic had actually constructed like just a few solar panels during that time.
Yeah.
And how the patent lab would have worked out at that point. The engineering lab, on the other hand,
I was afraid of food. Basically, it looked like it was the only thing Offworld that was like worth much, and so I was afraid if the price of food got really high, we'd be stuck in this odd situation where there really wasn't a place to make money, except maybe by just straight up selling food. And he looked like he had a lot of food production, so I was scared about that.
Yeah, I did kind of like it when the game finally forced cold fusion into your hands. That was pretty amusing.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you were getting perpetual motion, and I was like, I guess that's nice, but cold fusion is on the table. Did you see that? It's so fantastic. And then cold fusion shows up, and you go from making like $1,000 on power, and you spring back up to close to 1,500.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man.
I didn't have the mental capacity to think about cold fusion. I was just like,
cold
power
fusion is so good.
Anytime power is trouble, I was just like, you just grab perpetual motion. It's, you know,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
There's not much.
It is a fairly simple one.
This is Blackmagic for all the viewers out there, and I would completely like to disavow both of those games that I played because they were horrid. They were absolutely horrid. I had dead tiles all over the place. The first game, I definitely won't make excuses for it, but I completely underestimated playing in a different environment with a different keyboard and setup. So when I got in there, the first game I lost because it took me about a half to 3/4 of the game to realize that auto supply is not turned on when I'm playing at a different computer.
Oh my.
That's a gripe that I've had for a while because I've lost games because of that when I go between betas.
Ironically, I think we've just fixed that for beta 7. We're going to be using Steam Cloud in beta 7, so things like your saves and your options should be saved between.
Man, I'm looking forward to beta 7 now.
Yeah, there should be a lot of good stuff in there. Although the real thing of beta 7 will be the UI. And
well, of course.
There's going to be a lot of you move my cheese complaints with beta 7, so that's fine.
Yeah, whatever. People get over it.
Well,
it always happens.
You know, it's gonna be.
They'll get over it. They're whiners. It's whatever. You know, I mean.
Yeah, I
can take that attitude. You might not be able to take that attitude, but that's my attitude about those people.
Well, I'm glad I was scientific also because I actually also have auto supply off. I've had that same option problem, and every time I start a game, I'm like, oh, I got auto supply off. I got to remember to turn it back on, and then I forget to.
Yeah, I think a lot of us have been there at one time or another.
Well, and so I always have auto supply checked on by default, and so realizing halfway through that I have to, every time I build a new building, I have to go and check auto supply to get on, just wrecked me in the first game because I was like, why isn't my steel supplying? Why isn't any of this? I got cash for it. Yep. So, and then I don't even want to talk about the second game. That was just. I had dead tiles everywhere. I had you name it. I was just so.
That map was just so awful. It was going to be horrid. Soren got like the one spot. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got the one spot. It even took me a while to find that spot, like around the map. I didn't spot it until.
Yep. There's even
a little while before you found it.
There's even a carbon thrown in there just for good measure.
Oh, I know. I saw the carbon, and then I saw you go for slant drilling, and I was like, but you have silicon. and carbon scrubbing, potentially. But it was fine. It worked out for you at the end of the day. The electronics made quite a bit of money. And then there was the electronics short that went along with it.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, no.
I think there was an iron shortage also when I was
There's a natural iron shortage?
I think because I didn't have a hacker array. So that's pretty ridiculous. So I feel bad about that.
Oh well, the network virus was totally fantastic when you kept putting that on me over and over and over again.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's just great.
Yep.
I understand that completely. So that was very well played.
Yeah, I would have loved to know like what was the worst revenue in one of your buildings at the height of that.
Yeah, maybe we should have stuff like that on the in-game screen.
200 a second or so just on my steel mills, and the worst part is I was burning through your goon squad on your I was burning through your goon squad on your Offworld with a network virus, not thinking about what I was doing to myself. I was like, oh, network virus is cheap. I'll just go ahead and chew through this.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I saw that. That was kind of. I was like, "What?"
Yeah. Well, I was looking at it, thinking, "Okay, what do I want to burn through the goon squad with?" And I was like, 3,000. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, I had thinking machines. I was scientific, so like, I wasn't all that worried, you know.
Oh, I wasn't even trying to attack you via via EMPs or power surges or stuff like that. That wouldn't even be worth it. I missed out on a really big magnetic storm early with all your steel flying through the air, and I just didn't have enough cash to shut it down.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I was wondering if that was going to come up as kind of an important point at some point throughout the game. I honestly wasn't paying enough attention to see if you ever actually split your steel shipments, because it's pretty easy to just make sure you only have one shipment in the air at least.
Yeah.
I don't think you ever did, so maybe that could have been an interesting blowout from a magnetic storm.
Your time, I just, I thought about it early on and then forgot.
Yeah, I figured that with a short distance and no pirates, it wasn't that big of a deal.
No, it wasn't that big a deal. It's just so easy at the start of the game, like on headquarter level 2, to just be like, I'm going to ship one. When it lands, I'm going to ship another. When it lands, I'm going to ship the last one.
Yeah.
And you've just basically guaranteed, oh, well, at least it's only one shipment ever.
Yeah. I needed 60 steel being in the game, so I just waited.
Oh, yeah, that was fine. I liked that play.
Yeah. I figured you wouldn't have a magnetic storm up by then. Or you just wouldn't be thinking about it that fast. So, yeah. I mean, I was concerned about off-world prices because it was basically just food.
It was just food. Well, it was food and water.
Water would have been okay, but like if the food price went crazy, like suddenly the off-worlds would be irrelevant. Although that probably would have played into my favor anyway, because my buildings were just probably making a lot more money than his were.
Well, so, I mean, if the game kept going and I didn't have such ridiculous debt, which I kind of had to, think about in the back of my mind that was tanking my stock price, having the expansive territory and throwing out food all over the place would have been awesome. I mean, I had a hacker array that I put down and I did nothing with. I completely...
What was your intention?
I was going to hack down some of the stuff you're making money on.
You're going to surplus electronics or something?
I was actually going to start killing food, and I mean, electronics were okay, but I was going to start doing all the water-based resources, mostly food, so that I mean, if I have 2 off-worlds and I keep, for some reason you didn't protect yours.
I was scientific, so I was focusing on hitting yours as opposed to protecting mine. I figured that was a better use of my money.
Oh,
well, with thinking machines, yeah.
Okay, that's the thing. I didn't know.
I mean, you hit me with a mutiny, it's 30 seconds, right?
Oh, I didn't know that you had thinking machines, so that was a big
I grabbed up a lot of patents. These patents really helped out. Thinking machines was awesome, slant drilling was awesome. Although you're right, I just didn't even think about the carbon scrubbing. That that would have been it basically. Superconductor. Well, actually, I never used that. Financial.
You used superconductor. Superconductor was huge for you.
Oh, you're right. That was actually a big moment. I just forgot about that. But yeah, that was huge too. And I was basically building the solar panels while I was researching superconductor. And actually, look at the chat log.
I know. I see the $20,000 from financial instruments right before the game ended. I think it might have been the thing that pushed you over the edge.
And I'm scrolling back.
15,000. Yeah. No, I said when you picked that up, I was like, that's gonna be
fantastic.
Kind of a big
That's
deal.
the best use of financial instruments I've ever seen.
That's what you made at least 35,000 off that this game.
I mean, it's kind of a funny thing because since you could cook your books, you could let your debt get really high.
Yes.
But it's still high debt, right? Which means for financial instruments, you can really pick that up.
Yeah.
So that was cool, I think. So I'm just glad I'm just glad like the patent office like made a difference in 2-player. I think that like if I didn't build that patent office, because there's still some good stuff you did. You got your stocks. You did a good job buying up your stocks. Better than I would have expected, because I thought I had a decent lead, and you got your second Offworld up before me. So, you know,
I was concerned about the patent lab though, because like you were on HQ level 5, and Blackmagic was back on 3, and then like during all these plays, he catches up to HQ level 5, and he managed to secure his stock. I was like, I don't know, is that good enough? It worked out this game. I'm kind of curious if you can make it work again, you know, and make it consistent in this kind of scenario.
It depends on the map. I mean,
well, yeah, of course it does.
I think if you go scientific, I think half the time you'll have a very viable case for using the patent lab, especially with the faster patents. Everyone else, it's probably a lot more dicey.
I mean, I love the patent office as scientific, but I don't play 1v1, so that can change the situation pretty significantly. Man, carbon at $100. It's just so insane at the end of this game.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't really pay attention to carbon.
I know you were fine because you had the one carbon tile.
Yeah.
Now I know what Blues feels like from his other match. I just feel awful. It was just that was a big 0 all the way around.
Well,
hi Blues.
Great. All right. Still though, I was actually surprised that Blackmagic managed to hold on as long at the end as you did. You know, it was just that was interesting to see.
Yeah. So you just bought up the glass and the electronics you needed, right? That must have been expensive.
Yeah. I bought them up early, and I was going to beat you to an Offworld, and I was actually really surprised when I saw
you did beat him to an Offworld for like 2 seconds.
I mean, I thought I was going to beat you to a second one also because you had the patent lad up, and I was thinking, all right, well, he's not even going for it. I'm going to crush him with 62k send.
I think you did beat me to the second one. There was a really bad moment where you had 2 up, and you beat me to the second one also. Yeah. There was a pretty bad moment where you had 2 of them up, and you beat me in the other one, and I was like, oh, this is this is really going the wrong direction, especially with a 2-player game, how fast the stock market can go.
Yeah, that was a bit of a dicey moment there.
But yeah, I figured as long as I didn't worry too much about protecting myself, since I had thinking machines, I'd be okay.
No dynamite for me, so
yeah, that definitely made a difference.
I wish one of the maps would have had viable carbon. That would have been awesome.
Yeah, well, I mean, this map had.
You could. I would have gone.
Carbon.
I would have gone scavenger if you had gone scientific.
I didn't go scavenger because the only carbon that's good is at the top left corner of the map, and it's way away from every other resource. So I'm just going to get burned alive with food. Yeah. So all the high water was on the southeast corner. And, all the silicon's on the southwest. Right. I just would have been roasted on that. So you definitely got the better spot overall.
If you look at the resources, it's kind of interesting. You can see Black Tacticus and his resources. He produced no glass or electronics, and he spent 57,000 and 55,000 buying them up.
Yep.
So Offworlds
can be a bit expensive.
Price right there. But however, I think you can see that's the thing about expansive. No matter what you have to say about expansive, if they get to level 5, you can be in trouble because they can get those Offworlds up.
That's true. They will. I mean, half-price steel is pretty good. Maybe not as much of a difference that game because nanotech kind of got picked up and that helped keep the steel price down. There was a scientific player that helps keep the steel price down, but still, yeah, I mean, expansives will threaten you with that Offworld, and they're not going to have any trouble finding the tiles to put them on. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's how he was basically staying in it at the end. Because, I mean, one, especially with the price of food. I mean, it's a $60,000 shipment.
Well, I switched over to sending water.
Yeah, you got one water send off because it did make sense at one point to make that switch.
Yeah, you made 400,000 off World. That's pretty solid.
Well, 7 launches to your 4. I mean, that's
Yeah, you made wow. Yeah, you made 150,000 more than I did off World.
Yeah, but
that's not bad.
The game going that long, it was just gonna with as much debt as I had taken on, it wasn't gonna go well.
Yeah, it was your debt.
Maybe just a little over aggressive on those early auctions in particular.
I'm guilty of that sometimes. You did notice certain missteps, like me selling out of one of your sock accidentally.
Yeah, I was
misclick.
confused what you were doing about that.
I had a bunch of misclicks.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you won that claim auction for 32,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a big auction, but
I didn't really want it. I accidentally hit the button. It's kind of like the Pavlov's dog response where you hear like the little beep and then you just want to click a button.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
I think I made it up for you later in the game though, because I think I gave you a claim auction for like 14,000 or something like that. I just got distracted.
Yeah.
It's amazing you can get distracted in an auction even though the game is paused. You know?
There's just so much to do still.
Yeah, every once in a while people bring back the idea of they don't like the game being paused and they want to go back to it being real time during the auction. And I just think that's crazy.
No, there's too much to do most of the time. I like
during
the
quick match. I try to talk to people during auctions so they get distracted and I can win it.
Well, yeah, and then they start typing, and then the bug comes up where they're still typing and they can't press the button. And it's just, you know.
I win thinking machines for 5K because you can't get out of a chat screen.
Yeah, that's a strategy.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, congratulations, Soren. You
Thanks.
totally thrashed me. It wasn't even close. You did a great job there.
Well, look, I enjoyed being able to use some tools in the second game I haven't normally used, like the network virus and the and definitely now I believe that when the network virus also had double power, that was probably really, really crazy. Because I can't imagine what would have happened to your steel mills if they had just been trapped the whole time.
Yeah. Well, I started deleting it eventually, and I was like, okay, you're not going to get me. I don't care if I have to have dead tiles. If I can't figure out anything to do with it, you're definitely not hitting me with another network virus.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. Well, it's I'm kind of, I don't know what to think about the fact that the Final Four is the exact same as before.
Well, maybe
I guess
other people should get on their game.
I guess that means the seeding worked. I don't think there were actually any upsets.
Zero upsets.
The seeding were completely accurate, which is kind of interesting.
Is that true? Literally none.
Yeah.
Nope.
That's even the 8-9 game. Because Adept was 8, I think.
Yeah, Adept was 8. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, just
that's pretty unlikely.
That's really strange. Yeah, that's kind of weird. Okay, well, and now
like,
you're up against Qubit next, so...
Best of luck, sir.
I think the trend will continue. The seeding will still play out. If there's a chance for an upset, I think it's when Qubit faces PV, but we'll see.
Yeah, I actually agree there. Qubit's been pretty terrifying lately. Like,
he just looked amazing in his match. Was it yesterday?
Yeah, his match against King Morgan was just... That was horrifying. I was like, man, I don't want to play against that ever.
Yeah.
So
cool.